10 years, we can be able to be self-sufficient in cotton. Tanzania is very much on that route, and because of the huge opportunity within AGOA, especially if it's extended, then I think that is something that can be able to help us. There is somebody, I think, Honorable Wanyonyi, who's mentioned something that I also don't want to disappear, about this graduate who is teaching sewing. I think there's nothing wrong with sewing, and I really applaud that gentleman. I told myself I am a tailor because I'm in this industry and I'm very highly educated and qualified. What we need to do is to make that gentleman benefit from sewing by giving them capital and introducing them to things like EPZ and AGOA. Because the problem now is that we are not taking AGOA to that gentleman. If we had taken AGOA to that gentleman, he will be very proud to be a tailor. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Shall we have Naisula, Gikaria, and Mule?
Backbenchers. So thank you, Chair. And to the nominee, there has been a big focus on tea, coffee. I've heard you say Ndung'U, all that. When it comes to trade, while I believe there's a whole industry that as a country we have not really tapped, and I've heard you say something about northern Kenya, and that is the skin, hides, horns, hooves, all that. Very few people know that our buttons are made from hooves. And just our neighbor here, Ethiopia, has really maximized this industry. And I believe that people just got independence the other day. So what do you think are some of the constraints that have hindered full exploitation of this industry, and what interventions can be put in place once you are approved by this committee and sworn in?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry.
Please ask your question.
Okay, Chair. Vice Chair. And Pongezi Moses for your appointment to this. As I ask this question, I will also ask a question which has just been asked by a Kenyan who has told me to ask. The question that I wanted to ask, of course, notwithstanding the separation between under Schedule 4, what the national government does and what the county government does, how do we intend to collaborate with the county governments to ensure that informal traders in Nairobi and other cities are not subjected to harassment and overtaxation by the county governments? That is my question. But also, this ministry has been renamed Trade, Investment and Industry. In light of that, on matters to do with what is investment? And what this Kenyan is asking is, we are talking more about Kenyans doing investments, but we have people from outside the country coming to invest, but they are closing down. And some of these investments that are coming down or being closed is ShopRite, which was, I think, a supermarket. And now there is another company that has already given notice. And of course, many Kenyans are going to lose their job. There is this other company called Game. It's under the Massmart group of companies, and it's coming to an end again. So we have investors coming in, and then within a short period again they are walking out. But generally, what is investment?
Kari, I'm told you have asked 4 questions.
No. Only a question. One.
Okay.
Actually, it's only one.
Okay.
The other one was from a Kenyan who really wanted to.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to go back to the nominee on the issue whereby our trading partners from several parts of the world are calling us or are saying that we have very stringent conditions of export. And then I take that with also very punitive taxation policies we have within the country, gives the reverse vice versa of the trade imbalance in this country. And if I can elaborate that briefly, if you look at a product like petroleum, it attracts close to 7 different taxes. I can name them, Honorable Kuria, VAT, IDF, road maintenance levy, petroleum development levy, railway development directly levy, merchant shipping levy. Now, from where you are sitting, the internal punitive taxation we are having for products coming in and products we are exporting, where do we balance the trade of this country to level it to the common mwananchi to make sure that we bring the cost of trading down and affordable products for Kenyans, whereby the government will still make more money because of the volumes. Because if this trade goes, you can be assured as a trade minister, your volumes of export and import will decline, and then you will have no revenue. Thank you.
Yes, Moses, can you?
Thank you, Chair. Very important question that I think several members have asked on this issue of county and national. And if I get you right, members are saying, yes, we've heard what we are going to do on the national level, but you have no control over county level. Let me say, trade, industry, investment is interrelated from national level to county level. And I have had this discussion with the Chair of Council of Governors. We are going to have a trade and industry conference soon for counties, for us to establish a framework of working, how we are going to work together between the national government and the county government. That conference, we are going to develop work together on a charter that is going to guide how both the two levels of government are going to approach the issue of trade and the issue of manufacturing. That is the charter that is also going to see how we work together to establish the export hubs, the aggregation hubs within the counties. We cannot do that unless we also agree jointly within the two levels how we are going to treat our business people and our traders. And it is not inconceivable that we are creative around the issue also of licensing. I would want to see a single business license for both county government and national government. The other murky area is even inter-county licenses, especially in areas like logistics and transportation. You find somebody coming from Kisumu as a transporter, they pay some levy there to some county there, they come to Bungoma, another county, they come to Nakuru, another county. By the time these goods are getting to Nairobi, it becomes unmanageable. So I think because we are serving the same people and we are one country, there is need for county government and national government to come together through this intergovernmental charter on trade and investment, which is going to address some of these concerns, so that one party does not behave well. If the other party does not equally behave well, then it's counterproductive. And by the way, our people and the business people and the traders and the manufacturers, they wouldn't care less whether it's county government or national government. That is for us here who know. So I believe that with sufficient goodwill, so with really a spirit of cooperation between the national government and the county government, we can be able to work together on this. Let me address also the question by Honorable Naisura Lesuda on the skin and heights and leather. You don't need not to go further, and I'll ensure that I dispatch a copy of the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto to Honorable Naisura or any other member who would be interested, because we are very, very loud on the issue of skin and height. I was involved in a lot of economic forums which gave birth to this manifesto. Our people are very clear, and I think I want to somehow, I don't want to blame them, but one of the members here, the honorable member for Kikuyu, his constituency is the one which created a culture of throwing away skin. So for them, they were only interested in the meat. So we need to have a new center of excellence away from Dagoretti and Kikuyu to know that skin and hide is not for just throwing away. Because now our culture is, after you finish with the meat, that the skin, meat and that the rest of it appears as waste. There is very huge potential, and we can really.
Chair, now that the CS nominee has mentioned that issue of hides and skins, maybe it's one of the issues he needs to look into, because it is not the people that chose the culture of throwing away hides and skins. It's actually government policy that has driven them from throwing away the hides and skins. Because a hide that was trading at almost 800-900 shillings today is trading at about 80 shillings.
Yeah.
So the challenge actually is on you, if approved, to make sure that you take back the trade of hides and skins. And also opportunities, as you are saying, in the region. What happened is that people can no longer export raw hides and skins. And maybe, Chair, if you allow me, as a further question, now that you have brought in that issue, it is the same issue that we have with edible oils. Big manufacturers and big traders basically sit using the ministry, especially using the East African tariffs, to kill competition. I think if you look at the issue without mentioning particular companies in the country, the question of edible oils, there are traders who are importing edible oils into this country, but certain huge manufacturers, and I'm sorry to say so, but mostly of the Asian descent, have used their leverage with people in government to make sure that small importers and small traders are not able to import. And the Honorable Junet, if he was still here, he would tell you, because we were sharing with him earlier, people now can't import edible oils. It's the same thing that happened to the trade with hides and skins. A few people came together, influenced government policy, and killed the business of very many people in Kikuyu, Dagoretti, in Ruai here in Nairobi, in Naivasha, in Mariral, and all the other abattoirs that you know that I know.
Chair, thank you very much, through the Chair. I want to assure the Honourable Member for Kikuyu and the Honourable Member for Samburu West, I will ensure that there is good money for hide and skin. So you can tell your constituents not to throw them away. In any case, our people are very hardworking. You don't even need to tell them. As soon as we improve the market, we are setting up the leather, some leather zone somewhere within the river. Land has been set aside, and I have also some proposals from northern Kenya for hides and skin. Hides and skin is going to be one of the most sought after commodity, and so I think that this is going to open a completely new business there. I hear you on the issue of edible oils. I have heard through the outgoing cabinet secretary for trade and industry, 2 weeks ago there was an issue of where some edible oils were condemned. So I requested her that I want to familiarize myself with the issues of crude oil, of edible oils, and I asked her, please bring me the manufacturers. And we had this meeting in her office, and I was expecting to find a full boardroom. There were 6. And I said, was it boycott? I said, no, these are the only people. So I am sense of that matter, and I want to assure you that the issue of micro manufacturing, giving even that Gekambura guy who would want to be in this business, I have had a discussion with our ambassador in Malaysia about how can we be able to streamline the availability of CPO, crude palm oil from Malaysia, which is giving these big manufacturers an advantage for also the hustler manufacturer. But again, that's why again we come to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. There is more CPO, crude palm oil, in Africa than in Malaysia. And as we sell them our tea, as we sell them our coffee, as we sell them our horticulture, avocados and all others, we are going also to explore the possibility of these hustler manufacturers being able to access crude palm oil from within Africa. One thing associated with this, because now Honorable Naisula, I know I wanted to preempt her because I had come prepared for her, but she missed the question. So, but because I had done enough study on it, so let me just say, so that it doesn't go to waste. On the issue of Shanga, for the pastoralist community, I've had discussion with the Shanga initiative, which is currently in the office of the president, and it is my intention to place Shanga pari passu with all other exports, even giving them space within our EPZ, so that this industry is employing a lot of people, especially women, within Samburu, within Narok, Kajiado, and all other areas. So the Shanga is now going to be in the list of exportable. It's already in the list of AGOA. So if I'm approved by this house, I'll ensure that we work with the pastoralist areas, not only for the leather, hide and skins, but also for promoting Shanga as a source of income. Honorable Kuria has asked a question on investment. Why we have found it necessary, His Excellency the President has found it necessary to include investment. Indeed, investment in this country has been an offer. Most of the functions have been hidden somewhere within the national treasury. And because of that, it has a lower priority. Well, because treasury has got burning issues of managing our debt, that's a full-time job, of our macroeconomic stability, that's a full-time job, of balancing our exchequer within the difficult conditions which we are going through, of managing our budget. And so therefore, investment had been relegated to the back burner of the national treasury priorities. And His Excellency the President thought that there is need to create a dedicated state department for investment, so that we can be able to give a full, completely new focus on alternative means of financing our development, focusing on the PPPs, focusing on FDIs, giving conditions that are conducive for domestic investment, converting Nairobi into an emerging financial center like the way we have got Dubai, Hong Kong, and all that. So the whole focus of non-budget financing is why we have now included investment as a very serious agenda within the Ministry of the former Ministry of Trade and Industry. And indeed, what you're going to find out, because you have got so many investors walking around here saying, I want to invest in this, I want to set up this, but nobody was there to give them attention. So because of this new focus, we are going to ensure that we take investment back to where we are. Now, on the issue of question by Honorable Stephen Mule about our competitiveness. First of all, let me address this issue of GSK, because yes, the business environment for manufacturing is hostile, it's not conducive, but also let us also separate fact from other stories, because GSK had two arms in Kenya. They had one arm for manufacturing and the other arm for trading in pharmaceuticals. What they have done, the trading one, which is not about manufacturing, they have it is the one that they have relocated. So we really lose nothing, because they are not doing manufacturing, they are doing trading. The one they were doing manufacturing, it still exists. They have given it to a franchisee, and that is happening. Am I saying that we don't have a problem of business development for manufacturing? No. Am I saying that we need not look at our tax regime, our cost of power, and all those other factors which are frustrating our local manufacturing? No. But I'm also saying that sometimes what appears as a problem is not a problem, and some of it is lack of information. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, I want to add on what Honorable Kuria has said. Honorable Kuria, we have a problem of manufacturing. If you go to industry area, most godowns are closed down, about 348. So there's a problem, and we need to address that.
Chair, I would want to ask Honorable Mukami, because he's a long-standing member of the Trade Committee, to ask all those who have gone back, tell them the sheriff is here, come back. Thank you.
Speaker,
Moses,
just one clarification from Moses. Probably, Moses, you didn't get me well on the issue of the VAT and like the petroleum products that requested. My concern is very simple. The taxman is very happy today to complete the cycle of his target. But what is the implication of that collection of the tax from Kenyan vis-a-vis our affecting our export and our import to enhance trade. If I'm clear.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. In fact, indeed, Honorable Mule, the Kenya Kwanza government and the president are taking steps in this direction. As you know, the first thing that the president did upon being sworn in is to do away with the fuel subsidies so that you can have a more market-driven dynamics within the fuel sector. So this is painful to Kenyans, but it came with one thing, which is very good. We are just waiting for Parliament, for committees to be constituted so that we can bring our initial amendment. Part of that is a PDL, the Petroleum Development Levy. Now that we have gone to the floating market of petroleum, that will be the first one to go. We are also going to look with the consultation with the Parliament to some of the other levies, not talking about levies. Let me address the issue of railway development levy. The problem with these issues is that they are also integrated with other issues. We know very well that this is a ring-fenced levy which is going to financing the SGR. That is why it is very important that we all ensure that SGR becomes profitable by itself, so that within the fullness of time we can be able to do away with this levy. If Parliament coming to the RMLF, the roads maintenance levy, if Parliament in its wisdom decides to donate the money that we give for 10% and 22%, then maybe we can look at this particular. But of course, you know, that will create other problems for the people of Matunguru, and I'm sure they're not going to like that. So it's a continuous process. We are going to have a continuous engagement. Yes, we need to look at the issue of taxation. We need to broaden the tax base so that we don't overburden one particular sector with taxes. Why today petroleum is a target for the taxman all the time is because of our narrow tax base. But if I am approved as a minister in charge of trade, I am going to sit down with our traders and manufacturers and ask as many people to pay taxes so that we share this burden evenly and stop overburdening some sectors like petroleum. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You have had your bite. Yes, Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Maybe Moses, just a quick one, is the African Free Trade Area. And the greatest concern, even when we were in EU ACP, is the issue of borders. You talk with a lot of confidence on that. What gives you that confidence? Because it is a greatest concern.
I think I almost missed Honorable. What he's saying is that I did not answer his question. But yes, I apologize because you had asked that question. Let me address Ethiopia. Because in the discussion that the President had with the Prime Minister Abiy 2 weeks ago, the issue of Moyale border post arose. And I would want to assure you that a committee is already formed and in place addressing all the concerns from a custom point of view, from a security point of view. We are going to address all those issues and we are going to reopen the Moyale border post within the shortest time possible. During the Uganda National Day celebration, for those who may have missed the President's speech, he said categorically, and that's the position of the Kenya Kwanza government, that we do not want to see a one-stop border. We want to see a zero-stop border. So that is a commitment of the government of Kenya going forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Moses. You have very romantic ideas about trade, and it's a good idea. Now, going forward, I would encourage you, one, to address with other agencies, because your minister alone will not do all you are saying.
Yes.
The ease of doing business in Kenya, the cost of energy, the agricultural sector, that is key to your success. But above all, we belong to the East African community. I belong to the school of thought that Kenya should never be worried about products from Uganda or Tanzania because we sell much more to them than they will ever sell to us in the near future. The best is to harmonize the free movement of goods and services within the region. Thirdly, in this country, we have been psyched to believe that an investor must be a foreigner. We have a lot of local investors who can move from Mombasa and invest in Samburu, from Samburu invest in Moyale, Moyale invest in Kikuyu. You need also to encourage our local investors. Avail them cheap credit. When people come in from other jurisdictions, they come in with loans that are concessional, that are very cheap from their countries. How do you leverage on our local banking system to help finance local investors? AGOA is a very sorry state for us. I would encourage you to fight through the AU because it was an African initiative. Donald Trump set on a mission to kill it for reasons that you know. Go to the AU through the trade committees, fight to reinstate AGOA. But over and above that, you will get to know that Bangladesh alone sells apparels to America more than the whole of Africa put together. Bangladesh, a very poor country. If we can be able to upscale our manufacturing, because it's duty-free access to one of the biggest markets in the world, fight to retain it, upscale our production. Beet cotton is here. How do we leverage on helping the farmers to grow more cotton? I know that may not be a docket. Last but not least, Kenya must fight to retain our competitiveness. There's a question here which we framed for you which has not been asked. Why are companies leaving Kenya to go and manufacture in Egypt and sell back? Colgate left. There are many others that have... which ones? Glaxo, SmithKline Beecham, Wrigley's, all this. Even butter now, Kenya is a trading post. There's very little manufacturing. How do we lure them back? Encourage them to manufacture in Kenya so that we can be able to create jobs, create wealth. You have your job cut for you. You have your know-it-all. You have impressed me, at least I must say so. If you can translate what you are saying into action, then you will be able to create a difference. We have had ministers in that docket who talk as much as you did and did very little. Please try and do what you say and say what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, if I may just comment on the issues of ease of doing business. Indeed, it is a big concern, and I expect to do exactly what you've just said. Work within my colleagues within government. An issue may be with energy, an issue may be with agriculture, an issue may be with another ministry, but my customer is the manufacturer and the trader. So the buck stops with me, and it's up to me to create that synergy within cabinet and within the other sectors, so that I'm the advocate for, irrespective of where the issue lies, and as well my colleagues within EAC and the region. A very important issue you mentioned about domestic investors. And my intention, if I'm approved by this House, is to really have all inquiries on all issues by investors within the Kenya Investment Authority. be they domestic and be they, or investors or foreign investors. I know there has been that perception that investors need necessarily be foreigners. No, even local investors need to be treated well. What is lacking is that special focus on an investor as somebody with a choice. Investors have choices. But the mindset before has been that investor has got no choices, that the investor needs Kenya more than Kenya needs the investor. I intend to reverse that and ensure that we place the investor at the heart of it. Why are companies leaving? Companies are leaving because our cost is high. Our cost as energy is high. Our taxation is not assisting. That is in terms of cost, but also because of, sorry to say this, but I don't care attitude. In other countries, there's a principle called too big to fail, that any company having employed people is too big to be left to itself to decide whether it succeeds or it fails. It is a business of government. You saw during the financial crisis in the US, governments taking over companies instead of them failing, because they're saying, fine, okay, you have failed as a business, but what about the jobs? What about the taxes? So I intend to ensure that every business, before closing, they are free and open to come and have a cup of tea with me and ask ourselves, how can we as government be able to help that company from failing, so that we don't lose jobs and we don't lose taxes. You should have mentioned, Chair, Bangladesh, bigger than all of Africa. The textile industry alone employs 6 million people. If I was to just achieve just half of that dream, and put 3 million Kenyans in textile jobs in this country, from entire value chain, from cotton in Elgeyo Marakwet to the AGOA exporting EPZs, I would deem myself very successful. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any member with anything? I think we'll now give you your last 3 minutes to tell us your wish and expectation from this committee.
Thank you, Chair.
Before you do that, when you finish, you see our legal officer, the lady in blue there. She will see you as you go out. There's a letter that she requires you to respond to 1 or 2 things.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Chair, let me just say I've got a passion. And I am a practical person. I may sound with a lot of English, but I'm a very practical person. And I approach things from the mindset of an entrepreneur. So what I will bring to this ministry, if I am approved, is one is practical, tested pair of hands. I have got experience locally and international. I have got networks within many countries. I have got networks within this country. I've got a lot of networks among leaders, members of parliament. I understand where we are exactly, the needs of our people, and I am able to connect the dots. I know this ministry has had a lot of what we call kizungu mingi in the past. I intend to be different. I intend to talk less because I am exiting from being a politician to being a technocrat. I want to put it that I've had enough of talking. And going forward, you'll see more action and less talk of me. And it's not a loss, because in this parliament, I have groomed over 45 members, especially the new members who have just been elected, who have passed my hands in terms of grooming and tutelage. So I will leave the politics to them, focus on my job, work with manufacturers, work with the investors, both domestic and foreign, and really get things done. There's nothing I enjoy, Chair, than getting things done, working on results, solving problems, focusing on the issues, and really believing that we can do it. Finally, Chair, is on the whole issue of where are we going to get the money to drive this country forward. There's the leg room in our fiscal space, and I was in this house throughout my tenure until when I was rather unfairly removed. I was a member of the budget committee for 8 years. So I am very conversant with our fiscal situation. We are not in very good times. I am very much conversant of our debt situation, our debt servicing situation. We cannot continue to depend on fiscal measures, on budget, on spending to drive this country forward. It is time to focus on policy. It's time to focus on investment. It is my intention that I would want to see a situation whereby I match 2 for 1. For every shilling that you spend through the exchequer, I generate 2 shillings from non-balance sheet efforts like investment and public-private partnerships and generally enabling jobs to be created through other means other than spending. So we have agreed with my colleague, if he's approved, Professor Ndung'u, that he will continue to take care of that one Kenya which has got debt, fiscal deficit, inefficient civil service, to the other Kenya which I want to spearhead, of where we don't depend on debts, on budgets, on deficit, but Kenya driven by investment and opportunities. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Moses Kuria. We are now come to the end of our discourse with you, and you are at liberty to go and carry out your other duties.
Thank you, Chair.
Subject to talking to the clerk wants some documentation from you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you,
Can
members.
I shout to the Honorable Kuria? Honorable members, I think this will be the right time to stop and adjourn our business today. Tomorrow we resume at 8:30 like